eventually the Patriots wound up feeling that I think the Chiefs are starting to feel too, which is just the amount of damage you take on.
Mm-hmm.
They've been in 5 Super Bowls in 6 years. Like, I think when we talk about the 3 championships, we almost discount the fact that they made it all the way to the end 2 other times too.
Right.
So, like, you're talking about 3 or 4 extra games every single year. And we're at the point now where that's added up to a full season. So they've played a full extra season, beyond what everybody, but beyond what most other teams have done. And then there's that element of taking everyone's best shot and being everyone's prove it game every single week. Teams can turn their season around by beating you. Teams can prove who they are by beating you. Teams can affirm their status in the league. And it's interesting because I had that conversation with Sean McDermott last night after they beat the Bucs. And we were talking about how like they have turned into that, right? Like where like Buffalo is a big game for everybody. So, New England earlier in the year, like their prove it game was at Buffalo. That was just another game for the Bills, right? They played the Dolphins last week. That's kind of like where Buffalo can get caught in trap. That's a season saver for Miami, like, so Buffalo is adjusting to the fact that like, okay, like they've got the reigning MVP. They've been in AFC championship games. Like now they're everyone's big game. And so there's an adjustment that comes with that. And that you've got to get used to like every single week, someone's getting up for you're someone's big game every week. And Kansas City's been dealing with that for like 5 years now. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, so like, there's almost like, it's almost like you can see like, I don't know how I want to put this. It's almost like you can see like a little bit of fatigue. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I think it's probably the best way to phrase it on the way that the Chiefs carry themselves in every one of these games where they walk into these amped up environments. And it's like, I almost feel like you can see it, like where it's like, the energy of the other team, and you see the energy of the other team, and it's like the Chiefs are just dragging themselves out for another 12-round fight. It's just, I think there's an element of that over time can really kind of catch up to you. Like Jacksonville on that Monday night, like how huge a game was that for Jacksonville? That's just another game for the Chiefs. You know what I mean? I think it's something that just it takes time to adjust to that, and then once you've adjusted to it, there is like a toll that the damage takes. If you've been playing in those sorts of fights every single week.
Yeah. On the Broncos side, I mean, this is one of those. I heard somebody say like, "Oh, they're going to be all right, barring injury." At a key offensive position. I think they could get hurt at a key offensive position and be totally fine. I mean,
if we're talking about barring injury, they're like without one of the top 10 players in the league, regardless of position right now. Right.
And Vance Joseph's defense just keeps playing better. And he has this simplistic yet complex formula where you never know who's rushing you as a quarterback. And that's
they're relentless. Like they're
relentless. Yeah. And some of the third down pressures that he called yesterday were just so on point. I mean, Albert, I don't want to overstate it at this point, but I think if we're talking about tap-ins for who's going to become a head coach this next year, I mean, Vance to me looks like he's leading the pack.
Vance is up on the list. Like if I'm Sean Payton right now, I'm looking on my staff and seeing is there somebody here that I think is the next man up. Because I do think like this is all right. Like now I think Vance has earned himself a second shot. I give him a ton of credit too. I mean, like, like if we're talking big picture here with VJ, like the fact that he was low ego enough to go back to the place that fired him, you know what I mean? Like where he had a really awkward, weird 2 years and now become like sort of this conquering hero as the defensive coordinator is awesome. And I think that makes him a more attractive head coaching candidate. You're getting a really mature guy, who's been through it, who can handle it.
Yeah.
And this is a guy too, who, if you remember at the beginning with Sean, like a lot of people wanted him fired. Sean stuck by him, wasn't there a 70-point game in there? Right. Like if you remember back a couple of years, so, I mean, VJ's done a great job and they're so balanced defensively too. I mean, balanced and deep, I think is what I think of, cause without Surtain, they still have Moss and McMillan and Barron, the rookie who's starting to play really well. They didn't have Singleton out there. You think of the pass rushers, and they do it with, multiple guys up front. Zach Allen obviously was a huge addition for them a couple of years ago, but like to develop their own, and they don't have a Myles Garrett, but Nick Benito and Jonathan Cooper. Like I said, like if you want to talk about typifying like what relentless is with that group, like those guys off the edge are relentless. It's an impressive group to watch. They keep the pressure on you at all times, and I mean, to be able to stand up to Patrick Mahomes in the fourth quarter the way that they did, I think it's like the cool thing about it is, so I was talking to one of their guys last night, and he was talking about Sean and the job Sean's done, and how maybe the best work that he's done has been at the toughest moments.
Yeah.
And so if you remember, there was a game that was very similar to this one in the middle of last year, Connor. Remember that one where they lined up and Will Lutz got a 35-yard field goal blocked, and it looked like they were finally going to beat. The Chiefs and get over the hump and all of that. And so that dropped them to 5-5. And at that point, I want to say they were 13-14 for the Sean Payton era, right? So for the first year and a half of Sean Payton, they were 13-14 at that point. And my understanding is that Sean got in the locker room afterwards, and he said, "You guys are right there. I believe in you. I believe in what we're doing." And he had a way of kind of galvanizing the group. And since then, they're 14-4. And this was significant because for them, what do they beat them on this time? A 35-yard Will Lutz field goal. You know what I mean? So it's the same sort of scenario. And this time they get over the hump. It's just, everybody's going to make these things about the quarterback. And it kind of frustrates me sometimes because like people almost talk about it like it's one-on-one basketball. This is a really complete football team, And it's not like they don't have issues. They got to get Surtain back, and losing J.K. Dobbins is a huge blow because that's going to affect the way that you use Harvey, But it's just a tough, old school. It's like people don't think of Sean as old school, but this is a very old school, tough football team,
It is. Yeah.
It's a Marcellus team is what it is.
Yeah.
Smart,
I totally
tough,
agree.
Aggressive, all of that.